Those are protesters in Detroit, Michigan, outside a vote counting facility. They want to stop the vote count there, and so does President Trump. Earlier this evening, the president made an on-camera statement making allegations about mail-in ballots.
We were winning in all the key locations by a lot, actually. And then our numbers started miraculously getting whittled away in secret. And they wouldn't allow legally permissible observers. We went to court in a couple of instances, and we were able to get the observers put in. And when the observers got there, they wanted them 60, 70 feet away, 80 feet, 100 feet away, or outside the building to observe people inside the building. And we won a case, a big case, and we have others happening. There are lots of litigation, even beyond our litigation. There's tremendous amount of litigation generally because of how unfair this process was. And I predicted that. I've been talking about mail-in voting for a long time. It's really destroyed our system.
All right, so the president's campaign is suing in 5 states to stop vote counts. And right there you are, right on the map. You can see them. The campaign team has filed legal challenges to vote counts. And we're going to take you through each one. Court TV's Michael Ayala has been digging into those legal challenges, and he joins us live. Michael, let's start. Got Georgia on my mind. Let's start there.
All right. All those states you mentioned, all important states, all tightly contested. But in Georgia, there was a suit brought in Chatham County, and Trump and the Republican Party claimed that poll workers there were mixing ballots that came in late with ballots that were on time. And there's a rule that says after 7 p.m. on the election night, you cannot have a ballot come in. So one of the poll watchers there for the Republican Party said that there seemed to be some confusion about that. So they mentioned that and they brought the suit, and it actually went in front of a judge today. Now, I'm really excited, Vinny, because we're going to be able to show folks just a little bit part of that hearing. Now, this is the type of hearing that goes on all across the country. When you hear that a hearing is going on, this is what's happening. So we'll show them that. They go into court, and they have to prove with a preponderance of the evidence. That means that it's more likely than not that what they claim has happened. And they bring witnesses, and then the Board of Elections has lawyers. They bring witnesses, and the judge has to make a decision. What we're going to show our folks is the closing arguments by the Republican Party lawyers, by the Board of Elections lawyers, and also the Democratic Party of Georgia was allowed to intervene as an interested party. They're going to give their say, and then the judge will make a ruling. Let's take a listen.
One of the things that you saw today that frankly was a bit disturbing is the photo of this secure location for these ballots that are not legal ballots. It's a cardboard box with no tamper-evident tape or any other security in place to preserve the integrity of those ballots and ensure that no ballots within that cardboard box are included in the legal ballots that should be tabulated and counted in Chatham County. So we have brought this petition, and we believe we've carried our burden of showing that Chatham County has not demonstrated compliance with its obligations under Georgia election laws, those laws that ensure the integrity of the vote. And we simply ask that the court issue an order requiring the Board of Registrars and the Board of Electors to document how this process occurred and to establish that they, in fact, have ensured that no late arriving absentee ballots have been included in any of the vote counts for Chatham County.
I indicated to the court that we anticipated that the evidence would show that there is no evidence of a failure of the Board of Registrars to comply with Georgia law as it relates to the receipt of late absentee ballots. And now, Your Honor, we have in fact proved just that. For that reason, Your Honor, there is no reason for the court to enter an order requiring the Board of Registrars to comply with the law. Such an opinion would be entirely advisory because of the fact that there is no evidence of a non-compliance with the law. This argument related to the box that is in the office that contains the rejected ballots it's a red herring. Given the fact that the testimony indicated that that is a secure facility. It's an office that locks, and then it's a building that is locks and is locked and secured. and there's no evidence of a compromise of those security measures.
The issue before the court is very straightforward. There's a statutory scheme that outlines what's supposed to happen with absentee ballots. And the testimony that the court has heard today is the utterly unpersuasive testimony from two witnesses who testify that they saw people counting absentee ballots, which is what they're supposed to be doing. And both of those witnesses, when they were asked on cross-examination, can you say whether those absentee ballots that you saw someone counting, whether they were received after 7 p.m., and both of them said they had no idea. And that's the end of this. There is literally no competent evidence before this court that there are ballots that have been cast after 7 p.m. that are being counted. And that's the test. The court is asked to decide whether the petitioners have proven by a preponderance of the evidence that there are improper ballots that are being counted in this county, and they have flatly been incapable of proffering competent evidence to prove that point.
After listening to the evidence, I'm denying the request and dismissing the petition. Thank you, gentlemen.
So there it was, Vinny, short and sweet. And again, that was being conducted via Zoom, as are all the hearings at this time because of COVID-19.
Yeah, quick decision by the judge. Let's move on to the next state now. That's Michigan. Media outlets are calling this a Biden win. What's the issue in Michigan?
Well, Michigan, they're claiming here that their poll watchers, the Republican Party, their poll watchers were not given adequate access, and you heard the president mention this, adequate access to look at the people who were counting the votes. Every state allows various observers to come in and watch and make sure there are no improprieties going on when the vote is taking place. So actually, in this instance, they were being separated by 6 feet. So there was some room involved where not enough people were being allowed in, and some of the Republican poll watchers were saying Democratic poll watchers are being let in, and we weren't. We actually have some sound from Election Day from some of the poll watchers who say that they were denied access. Take a listen.
Intimidated and not being allowed to do our jobs.
Yesterday was
So the Secretary of State's office told us that there should be an equal number of Democrats and Republicans in this room. And we've heard several people say that there's a minimal number of Republicans monitoring.
When you walk up
Do you
to the
guys agree
table,
with that?
oh, yes,
minimal.
I mean, go upstairs, there's a mob of people waiting to come down here, so it's not like the turnout is not enough. We've got more than enough to compensate. We can swap these people 10 times, and we have more than enough people. They're just not letting us. They're not.
Why wasn't the capacity issue raised yesterday? I covered 6 tables. There wasn't enough challengers. There should have been a challenger at each table.
All right, so basically, as you heard, they were claiming they weren't being allowed access. The Trump and the Republican Party, they were basically suing to stop the count until they were given access, and then they even wanted a recount of the things that they might have missed. A judge heard that case earlier today in a hearing very similar to the one we just saw, and ruled that because Michigan's count was ostensibly over, that they really had no authority to stop the count. So they ruled against them, and they also said that they named the wrong parties in the suit. So that was a technicality, but again, it was not allowed to go forward.
All right, what's going on in Wisconsin?
All right, Wisconsin, Vinny, is not necessarily a lawsuit. Here, they want to get a recount. It is so close. Within 1%, any of the candidates can then demand a recount. So they're demanding that. Now, what that means is that there are 72 counties in Wisconsin that now have to go and count every vote all over again. That's hundreds of volunteers, hundreds of machines that are now going to be going through counting paper ballots. Wisconsin has only paper ballots. And they actually had an event in 2016 where they had a recount. So they were very much prepared, they said, and they were ready to go to do the counting here. And it's going to cost Trump $3.5 million or more, because in 2016, that's what it cost one of the candidates to have a recount, probably a little bit more now with inflation. So it's probably going to cost him about $4 million to get this recount done. And so what we're seeing here is that if it gets close enough, within 0.25%, then the state will pay for it. So hopefully if it gets that close, then they don't have to pay for it. But as of now, he's going to end up having to pay for that recount, should he actually call for it. He's just threatening it right now.
Right, but of course the president would say that, we really haven't had that much inflation in the last 4 years, Michael. All right, let's travel to Nevada. What's going on in Nevada? Things are heating up there a little bit.
Yeah, this isn't a typical suit that you'll see during election season. What Trump is claiming here and the Republican Party, they're claiming that as many as 10,000 people are casting ballots who no longer live in Clark County, which is a very strong Democratic county. Now, throughout the day, as I've been checking the votes, there's about an 8,000 vote difference in Nevada. So this could be very important. But again, they have to go in court. They have to prove by preponderance of the evidence that this actually happened, that this fraud is actually going on. And his lawyers and Trump, some of the Republican Party members, held a news conference today to talk a little bit about that suit. So let's take a listen to that.
We were told that signatures would save us from all fraud. But to date, we still have not been able to observe these signatures or meaningfully challenge a single mail-in ballot out of hundreds of thousands of casts. We firmly believe that there are many voters in this group of mail-in people that are not proper voters. We are filing in federal district court here in Las Vegas. We're asking for emergency relief, a TRO, and injunctive relief. We're asking the judge to, due to all of these irregularities, to stop the counting of improper votes.
Now, Vinny, the Clark County Registrar responded to those statements saying that he was not aware of any improprieties, and he claimed that the allegations were not true, as most of the others have said. And again, they will have to go in court and prove them.
All right, Michael Ayala, I know that Pennsylvania's got some issues. We talked about that last night. We'll probably talk about it again tomorrow. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.